Whatever situation you are going through right now, whether it's a financial difficulty, it's difficulty in the home, it's difficulty between spouses, it's difficulty in regards to disobedient children, it's difficulty in regards to your business. Islam has told us a way, the Quran teaches us how to conduct ourselves in that very situation. So except those who have Iman, إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا, except those who believe. What is Iman? I can't take my Iman out and weigh it. I can't count it. Nor can anybody expose their Iman. However, there are signs. There are signs that a person is in a situation where his Iman restrains his tongue from speaking falsehood. Iman restrains one's tongue from speaking that which shouldn't be spoken. In a situation where a person is faced, a situation in which a person facing a situation in which seemingly it shows that he will make more if he engages in a transaction involving interest, if Iman will hold him back. And what is the biggest sign of Iman? That when the call for Salah comes 5 times a day, a person is present in the masjid. A man, in particular, is present at the time of Salah and he makes himself ready to fulfill this obligation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So these signs, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also says in the Quran, that testify to the Iman of a person who frequents the masjid. The Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam told Ali radiallahu anhu, when he gifted him a slave, he forbade him from striking him simply because he prays. So Iman has signs, my respected brothers. أَوّْلُ مَا يُحَاسَبُ بِهِ الْعَبْدُ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ الصَّلَاةِ, that the first thing the son of Adam will be reckoned in regards to on the day of judgment will be his salah. So إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا, except those who have Iman. How do we establish that one has Iman? These signs are there. That he speaks the truth. He doesn't deceive. A believer can never lie. Can a believer be a coward? Naam, yes. Can a believer be a miser? Yes, it's possible. Can a believer be a tariqus salah? Can a believer be one who lets his salah go due to laziness? Never. So this situation and in this gathering that takes place every week, this is time for us to reflect and to analyze by listening to these things. Where do I stand? The life which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala requires from me, where do I stand in terms of this requirement? إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا, that those who believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who believe in His book. The batil today is putting so many doubts in the minds of the young Muslims. There's only 2 reasons why a person will not understand his religion. And one of them is simply because he is not exposed to the scholars. He doesn't spend enough time in the company of the scholars. Islam has an answer for every situation. This Quran, 1,000,000 or 1,000,000,000 years from now, if mankind was to still exist on this earth, the Quran will be sufficient for them as a book of guidance even at that time. It's not a book that goes out of date. So my respected brothers, this Iman is something, according to the environment, it changes. An environment like this, the Iman, it gains strength. It comes into motion. People are ready, people make intentions. As soon as we switch from this environment to one which affects our Iman in a negative way, then even to get up for Salah. For example, on a Saturday or a Friday evening, when the families get together, how difficult does it become for a person to leave and to go to the masjid to pray the Salah in the evening? So, إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ, these 2 things go together, and those who do good deeds. Imam Bukhari rahimahullah, there's a huge discussion at the beginning of his kitab which speaks whether, and there's an argument which consists of a discussion, the whole point of which is, are these two things even separate? Are Iman and good deeds, are they two separate things, or are they one and the same thing? It's a lengthy discussion. But scholars have their belief that the same thing, you can't have one without the other. So based on that analogy, it's not possible for a person to have Iman and say, brother, it's in my heart, it doesn't matter, my actions don't need to express that. You can't even hide a fever. You can't hide a cold. You can't hide pain which you're feeling inside. Sometimes people look at you and they say, what's wrong? You haven't said anything to them. Simply the expression on your face, your color turns pale, your forehead, you have a frown on your head, your eyes, sometimes you get baggy eyes. When a person is stressed out, it's something that is definitely going to become exposed on his face. So Iman, which is something so powerful and strong, something upon which success of the whole of the dunya and the akhirah is based, how can that be something that's concealed? So these actions that we mentioned, the Iman and wealth, two things, they cannot be concealed. A person's wealth will eventually become exposed, and Iman will definitely become exposed. Because a person will always, because this life in this world is challenging, a person will definitely face a situation where his Iman requires him to do something, and the situation he's in order to benefit in that situation, materialistically, he will have to take a different course of action. His Iman will stop him. إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ. Those who do good deeds, those who have Iman and they do good deeds. وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْحَقِّ. And mutually, they encourage each other upon the truth, upon the haqq. They give da'wah to each other. They're constantly looking out for each other. Tawasaw, a verb that is on the scale of this, tafa'ul, then this is not a verb that can come into existence unless there's more than two people engaged in that verb, like qital or taqa'ul. A person cannot fight unless he has another being, another person, or something in front of him that he's fighting with, physically fighting. People are fighting with their demons and their desires all the time. A person cannot physically fight unless he has something, another object, or something that he's fighting with. So these people, they have Iman and they do good deeds. You can't separate these two things. And in the Quran it's mentioned again and again, and we hear from the scholars again and again, that Iman and Amal Salihat, they come very regularly in the Quran, almost all the time, they come together. And they give da'wah to each other, they're concerned about each other's welfare, particularly in regards to the hereafter. And upon this they make salah. So quickly, we go through an analogy that will make us understand this a bit more easier. When a person is drowning in the sea. A person, he drowns in this, he's falling into the sea, he falls into the sea, and at the same time he's unconscious. So he's sinking to the ground. He's sinking down to the seabed. What's the first thing this person needs to do? He needs to wake up. He needs to wake up. Otherwise, he will simply just sink to the bottom. He's unconscious, he doesn't know where he is. This waking up is like Iman. When a person enters into the fold of Iman, and you Muslims, you speak to them all the time and they say, I don't know what's happened, but I feel like my heart has woken up. Something happens from inside, I can't describe. The moment I recite the Shahada, something within my heart, something within my soul, I feel something. So when a person has Iman, my respected brothers, his heart becomes alive. The blindness of the heart is removed. Another example, when a person looks through the eyes of Iman and a person who looks, otherwise, is like posing a question to someone. For example, we're all traveling on a bus, and this bus goes through a very lavish area in terms of prosperity and wealth. So this bus is traveling through a very high, in terms of materialism, a very posh area. And on this bus there's Muslims and non-Muslims, atheists, all types of people. And if someone was to pose a question, and whilst you're traveling on this bus, you see a man. And this man is going into a very large gated property. And in front of the property there's cars worth a couple of £1 million, for example. And it has a huge door, and it has a beautiful driveway leading up to the front door. And it's a very lavish house. And then this man is dressed very elegantly. And then you pose a question to the people on the bus and say, do you think this man is successful? Do you think this man is successful? Overwhelmingly, whether the Muslims respond or the non-Muslims, everybody will say that is success. That is what we aspire for. That's what life is about. But if we go back approximately 10,000 years, for example, and we're traveling down the same road, and there's Muslims on this bus, and there's non-Muslims on this bus, and you saw Fir'aun going into his property. And he had rivers right in front of his doorstep. And Egyptians are known for their architecture. So if we pose the same question to the children or the people on the bus at that time, would the answer be different or not? Most certainly. They will say, no, this is Fir'aun. How can he be? He's one of the most unfortunate people that has ever been mentioned in history. So this is what happens when a person's vision, his heart becomes clear. He starts seeing things very different from those who do not have a clear heart, whose hearts are dead. So this drowning person, my respected brothers, the first thing he needs to do is wake up.